Day in Colonial Haiti by Philippe Gerard. Narrated by Carrie Wilson. "1 p.m. The hunter stalks his prey. I need a break," Milscent splutters. Archambault pauses and turns back to his companion, who is huffing and puffing a few paces back. Archambault doesn't argue. In fact, he could use a break himself. The hike to the summit is steep, especially in the midday sun. "Getting old is a bitch," Milscent thinks, "but at least the view is worth the hike." Below him, Milscent can see not only the city of the Cape and its bay, but also Haiti's entire northern coast, all the way to the Cape of Carcel. Beyond lies the port of Fort Dauphin, where he owns property. No wonder this hilltop is called Lookout's Hill. But Milscent and his companion are not here to sightsee. They are here to hunt. Hunting is a long and proud tradition in the colony, going back to the early buccaneers who made a living selling the smoked meat of maroon pigs. These pigs went feral after they were introduced to the island by Christopher Columbus. But now native forests are getting rare in Haiti, and so is the game. Milscent spots a rock in a shaded spot, sits down, and takes out his water canteen. He needs to rest. Luckily for Archambault, Milscent is never short on hunting tales. He has killed doves, deer, goats, lizards, and caimans. He even killed a female monkey once. Frankly, he found the experience unsettling. The monkey had a baby in its arms. The child held on to its mother, just like our little Negroes hold on to their mother. Archambault listens intently. He's a good audience, Milscent thinks. I'm glad I asked him to tag along. Earlier today, at the meeting of the Learned Society of the Cape, Milscent was asked by his friend Otto to help recover some property that the doctor had lost in the hills. Milscent accepted and enlisted Archambault's help. Archambault serves in a mixed-race military unit in the Cape, so hunting falls within his purview. That mulatto should be flattered that I picked him, Milscent thinks. Claude Louis Michel Milscent de Luce is a wealthy white colonist, a noble, and a scholar. He holds no grudge against free people of color, an attitude which is a rarity these days. Not to mention, I have such good stories to share with him. Here is another one. Milscent used to bring a young slave along on hunting trips. Nothing like a Negro boy to sniff out the game. Then, on a whim, he traded the slave for an expensive hunting dog. Turns out, the dog wasn't nearly as skilled as the boy. Milscent tried to trade the dog back, but it was too late. The slave had been so humiliated by his demotion that he had killed himself. That story earns a polite chuckle from Archambault. Milscent puts 2 fingers in his mouth and lets out a long whistle. Nothing. Worthless dog. Guess I'll have to sniff out the prey myself. Milscent learned how to navigate Haiti's broken hinterland in his younger years. He was often tasked with breaking up bands of runaway bandits in the hills near his hometown. No one knew the fauna and flora of Haiti's mountains better than he. He points to a nearby plant resembling a fan. It is called a traveler's tree, he informs Archambault. It is indeed a traveler's best friend, especially in these hills where water is scarce. The tree holds a tidy supply of fresh water in its trunk. Let me show you. Milscent takes out his knife and starts cutting out some of the tree's outer skin. He stops. Seems like we are not the first ones who needed a drink. Look, something forged at the foot of the tree. And that something is injured. A droplet of blood glistens on one of the leaves. Another one over there. Milscent stands up and grabs his musket. No more complaining about middle age, thirst, or lack of breath. His hunter instincts take over. His prey is near. He darts off, eyes to the ground, following the trail of blood and broken twigs. Mechanically, without even a glimpse at his hands, he slides a gunpowder cartridge down the muzzle, then the cloth wad, followed by the bullets. Ramrod, primer, frizzen, cock, done. For 20 minutes, the two men follow an ill-defined trail down the dark recesses of a ravine, pushing aside balisé flowers and Voyager tree leaves. Then Milscent stops and whispers, "Look, a cave ahead. Can you hear those animal noises? This is it. Quiet." Milscent tiptoes toward the cave, hoping to surprise the prey in its den. Until Archambault bumps into a rock. It tumbles noisily down the slope. Idiot! In a flash, the prey has bolted, but not too fast for Milscent. He fires. A body falls to the ground. Just what I thought. A male and a female. The male was hit in the back of his head. Nice shot. And died almost instantly. The female is alive. She is curled on the ground and looks up at the two armed men as they approach. She shivers in fear. Milscent puts his gun down and slowly walks towards her, hands turned upward. She looks terrified, yet she won't flee. Of course, she is chained to the male, so she couldn't leave even if she wanted to. Milscent stops a good 3 feet from her, kneels by her mate, and turns his body over. Milscent is an experienced tracker who can reconstruct his prey's entire life by examining his skin, as if he were reading the vellum of an ancient book. Here, going all the way from the forehead to the temples, are scarifications from his home country. Bambara, maybe? Or perhaps Mina. More marks. The pox. On the chest are the brands of his various owners. 1, 2, 3 different ones. Must be a troublemaker. They're barely legible. He must have tried to erase the brands by burning them off. That takes dedication. Another burn mark. This one is not some half-erased brand. It is an actual scar. He probably got injured while working at the sugar vats. Unless it was some punishment from an over-eager master. Milscent turns over the body so he can examine the male's back. It is covered in a mess of half-healed whip scars, some of them still fresh and bleeding. An over-eager master, then. The collar tied to the iron chain has 2 spikes. The bells are missing. He must have torn them off. As for the hole in the scalp where the bullet went through, well, that one's on me. On to the female, who still hasn't moved an inch. The executioner branded her with a fleur-de-lis on her forehead, and then split her ears in 2. That and the chain mean she's also a repeat offender. Be careful, lady. You know the rule. Next time, they'll cut off your hamstrings. She must be around 20. Not bad looking either, if you can get past the split ears. She is wearing a necklace made of green coral on top of her steel collar. Further down, where her white cotton shirt opens up, Milscent can glimpse 2 engorged breasts throbbing up and down with each nervous breath. Also, some milk stains. Milk? Milscent grabs the woman's yellow dress and tears it off, revealing a tiny newborn that she was hiding underneath her clothes. Well, what do you know? Here's another story for my repertoire. What will you do with them? Archambault asks. The male is heavy. There's no way we can drag his body all the way to the Cape, also carrying the female and the child, and I'm not leaving her behind. She's worth 12 leaves, plus the baby. I know, Even the dead one is worth 6 livres if we can prove that we got him. Hand me the knife. Milscent turns over the man's body one last time and plunges the knife into his chest. With a few expert strokes, he carves out a patch of skin, making sure to include all the different owners' brands so that he can claim the reward. He tears the skin off and puts it in his knapsack. The woman still hasn't moved or said a word. Don't worry, dear, Milscent tells her reassuringly. As soon as I'm done cutting off his head, I'll remove his collar and chain and set you free. This way, I can bring you safely back to your master.
A note from the historian. The man and the woman are a composite of some of the 10,000 runaway slaves mentioned in the newspaper Affiche Américaine. All the details in this chapter, however horrific or bizarre, are directly based on those ads or various laws and legal cases I found in the archives. By the outbreak of the Haitian Revolution in 1791, Archambault had risen to the rank of captain and commander of the mixed-race military unit of the Cape. During the Revolution, Milscent went to Paris, where he was one of the few white colonists who argued in favor of political rights for free people of color. Denounced by more conservative rivals during the Terror, he was sentenced to the guillotine in 1794. The mixed-race Haitian poet Jules Milscent, who died in the great 1842 earthquake of the Cape, was presumably his illegitimate son. This book is available on Amazon as an audiobook, a Kindle ebook, a paperback, and a hardback.